Good day, my name is Sesan Naquin from Group 8 and I will report about the Chapter 1 of our capstone entitled Plmar Student Grading System. So here in Chapter 1 we discuss about project context, purpose and description, objectives of the study, scope and the scope and the limitations of the study. So in our project context we discusses about the hassle of maintaining of students' information such as attendance, assessment scores, and such. So after we finish this project, professors can able to record and compute grades of the students much quicker, and will help to reduce their workloads. So students can also reduce their anxiety before knowing their grades. So if there is something wrong about the computation of their grade. So the objective of the study is to provide computed grades of students. So the project is also has the function to have a different grading system per subject. So it can also be modified if there is an incorrect input by the professor. The study only focuses on the recording and issuing of students' data in the proposed automated system. The Plmar student grading system is only limited to the professors of Pamantasan and Lungsod ng Marikina. The Plmar student grading system is restricted to a single installation standalone software, so to be used individually by the professors. System's features will only focus on the logging in and out services, data record keeping, database maintenance, and support assistance.
So in our chapter 2, we discovered that studies of different universities reveal conflicting conclusions regarding relationships between manual method of computing grades and workload efficiency. It was stated that the manual method doesn't help the teachers to minimize the time consumed in computing grades because it adds to their workload, and which in turn turns out to be inefficient and could lead to errors. A well-designed student grading system will reach more than teachers and administrators. It will also benefit the students, the school, and also the teachers by providing them the functioning and success of the education system.
Hi, my name is Vincent Ramirez, and I'm going to report on Chapter 3. First, we have technical background, system development requirements, which have components of hardware specification, software requirements, network specification, peopleware, and costing summary. We also have system deployment requirements with the same components of hardware, software, network, peopleware, and costing summary. In our technical background, we use Visual Basic as our app to generate forms to visualize more about our program and to make it full customizable as possible. Next is we use Microsoft SQL Server. We use this as a primary database server to use to store and retrieve data. Next is system development requirements. This has a components of hardware to run our program. First is we have a Pentium dual core processor. We also recommend it in using in laptop or PC because this is an application, not a mobile application. We have a minimum 8 gig RAM, 500 gig HDD for storing Microsoft Visual Studio, Microsoft SQL Server. And we have an optional of 128 gig SSD. Next software requirement is Windows 8 or newer, Microsoft Visual Studio. This is our ito yung ginamit naming IDE in developing our project. And of course, Microsoft SQL Server to store data and retrieve. Our network specification is offline network. Our application is offline. We only use internet to download the application and for more updates. Peopleware. Our peopleware is for basic visual programmer. To create our visual program needed in creating such a system, database administrator that have a knowledge in SQL Server for big help in maintaining our data. Our costing summary is for laptop. We have recommended the budget for laptop is 15K, 15,000 pesos. For desktop is with a minimum budget of 10,000 pesos. And of course, the internet connection, it depends naman sa user kung gagamit sila ng data or internet connection mismo na galing sa provider na with a minimum of at least 25 Mbps. Next is system deployment requirements. It is where we need to deploy our system. We have a laptop or PC recommended in hardware specification. Of course, 8 gig RAM, 500 gig HDD for Google Chrome, Microsoft Word for editing the grades of your students. Next is software requirements. We have a Windows 7 or newer for recommended operating system for laptop or PC. Next is Microsoft SQL Server for local database namin. Next is for network, Wi-Fi connection or data connection. Peopleware. Our application will only used by our professors in Plmar. Syempre, with the basic knowledge of Excel and other Microsoft applications. Database administrator, it has of course the knowledge on maintaining the server to retrieve and store data. Our costing summary for our deployment of our application is for laptop is 15,000, desktop for about 10,000 pesos with the same for the development. Also the internet connection which only cost 1,600 depends on the provider. That's all. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Carlo Jason Trigradime. I am going to present our chapter 4. The first one is methodology, waterfall. Waterfall was the first process module to introduce, and it's also referred to as a linear SQL-like model. It's a very simple to understand and use. In a waterfall model, each phase must be complete before the next phase can begin, and there is no overlapping in the phases. The reason we, the researcher, use this model is because we figure it is the best choice for our grading system due to first one is simple manage due to the flexibility of a model. Each stage has particular variables and a review process. Phases are prepared and complete one at a time. Technology is understood and is not dynamic. For small projects where requirements are understood, easy to organize tasks, result, and well document. The first one is data flow. Data flow shows the way information flows through a process or a system. Includes data inputs and outputs, data stores in the various sub-process the data moves through. Next one is fishbone diagram. A fishbone diagram is a cause and effect discovery tool who helps figure out the reason for the defects, values, and failures within the process. In other words, it helps break down in successive layer root cause and potentially contribute to an effect, sometimes called an Ishikawa diagram or a cause and effect analysis. A fishbone diagram is one of the main tools in a root cause analysis. So this is our requirements documentation. Student grading, login and passwords, and account setting to change password. Subjects, add subjects, remove subject, and view subject. Students, add subject, edit and update student, remove student, and compute, create and show records. So this is our entity variable diagram. So for the student we need the student ID, the first name, the middle name, and the last name. For the marks, we need the quiz, recitation, activities, projects, exam, and grade, and student ID. For the subjects, subject name and student ID. So this is our system architecture. Infographics. Infographics, example of visual presentation of information. Infographics in example includes a variety of elements such as image, icon, text, charts, and diagram to convey message of a glance. So the list of the module is, first one is login. This is a startup of a system wherein the professor will input the password in order to access the form wherein you can add subjects, account setting. This one of the features of the system that processor can change the current password if he or she wanted to. Subject. On this part of the system, the professor can either add, remove, and view subjects. On the add subject form, the professor must enter a subject's name and grading percentage. Add subjects. This is the part where the professor can add student information about their output, can display in the student grade after. This is our prototype and description. This is our login system login. The login page is where the professor can enter a password to access the program. This is the security feature that the system offers to prevent someone from editing and manipulating the records without professor permission. Main menu. This is the part where the professor can either access the subject option or account settings option depending on his or her needs. Change password. Account setting. Let the professor change the password if current password is not secure or safe anymore, for avoiding hacking. List of subjects. This part let the professor to add or remove subjects. It can also let the professor to view and the add subjects to let him or her add students in that subject. The percentage of each criteria in grading is also added here. Add students. Add students. In this main part of the program where the professor will add student in his or her chosen subjects and input their grades, part also has the picture of list all the added student or for viewing or to modify the already added students in case of incorrect inputs or records.
I'm Renz Reyes from Group 8 and I will be presenting the main program of our CAPSTONE project, which is called the Student Grading System. When you run the program, this login window will show up. This is the security feature that we implemented to keep unwanted people from modifying the grades that was inputted by the professor. The default password for this program when freshly installed is 1234. So when you input the correct password, the main menu will show up. And there are two options in this main menu, which is the subject and the account settings. Now in the account settings, as I said earlier, the default password is 1234. That's why it is advised for the professor to change the password as soon as they have installed the program for better security. Now when you choose the subject option, this screen will show up, which is called the list of subjects. In this area, the list of subjects that is currently added will be displayed here. So since this is freshly installed, there's no subjects yet. But you can click this button to add a subject. When pressing that button, the program will require you to input a subject name and the grading percentage for that said subject. So let's put math and input some grading percentage as an example. Now when you press add, the created pop-up will show up confirming that you have created the subject. And it will go back to the last window, which is the list of subject, and will display the current subject that is added here, the math. So let's add more. Pressing this remove subject, this screen will show up and will ask you to choose which subject you want to remove. For now, let's choose the English and press this button. And the deleted pop-up window will show up and confirming that you have deleted the subject. Now it will be removed in this area. So let's press the view subjects and these view subjects will also let you display and choose what you want subject to be displayed to view and add some students. Now when pressing this view button, this is the main part of our program, which is where you will add the student information and try to store it in the database. When you press this add button, the inputs that you have put in this area will be included in the database. It will show here the current list of subject that is added. Now when you want to update a certain student if there's an error in the grades that you input, you can select here and choose the student ID of the student. And when you press show, it will the data of the student that you choose will show up here, and you can change it in whatever you want by pressing the update button. Now when I change the recitation to 87, and here when you press update, there is a notification and it will change here. This button just removes all the data that is inputted when you want to reset. In order to delete some data, if you want to remove it completely, you just need to choose which student ID you want to delete and press the delete button, and the pop-up will show up confirming that you have deleted the student that is chosen. Now the database will refresh and will show you the current list of the students in this said subject. In order for you to exit the program, just click the close and it will go back until you go to the main menu, and when you press the close, it will close the program. That's all. Thank you.